Howdy, y'all. Okay, so I've been going back and forth about how to do this video, whether to even do this video. I was supposed to take Norma Jean to the vet today, but they called this morning and said that the doctor's wife had to have surgery, so he's not available, and we had to reschedule for Thursday. So I'm not actually going to go to the vet today. I've got to run to the bank later. But I'm not really busy. And I've been thinking about this, and this has been on my mind for some time. And I was just wondering how to approach it, how to go about it, how to make this video, whether I should even try to make this video. But I decided I'm just gonna go for it. I was just thinking about it this morning. I was still in my house clothes. I got my little uh, Baby Yoda, the child shirt, naps and snacks. Um, I'm just kind of in my house clothes and just chilling at the house this morning, and it's been on my mind. And the topic I want to discuss with everybody is the change of life. For some reason, this seems to be kind of like not talked about, or people don't want to talk about it, or are embarrassed about it or something. So if you're one of those people and you don't want to listen to a bunch of talking about menopause, or the menopause, or the change of life. There's lots of names for it, but so that's what I'm talking about. That's what this video is going to be about. And what I'm dealing with, the things I've learned, kind of researching it and stuff, and of course, I certainly want to know what you guys' experience has been and your thoughts and insights on this as well. So the first thing that I realized, and I realized this a long time ago, was nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody. It's like a big hush hush thing. It's more of a hush hush thing than when you start your period. When you start your period, a lot of people want to be discreet and stuff, but it's, especially nowadays, not a taboo subject. It's, you could mention it in mixed company and it not be like, oh my goodness, no, she did not just say that. But I remember, my grandmother was very like, she would whisper the word tampons or maxi pads, and it seems silly now, but that's their generation. That's how they were raised, to be very discreet. It was not okay to talk about that in mixed company, if men were around. And so nobody talked about anything. Well, I'm not able to talk to like my family members about this because they're either not around, or they had surgery, like a hysterectomy, and had like surgically induced menopause. And that's a little bit different. You still go through it, but it's all at once. And the only person, I have one friend who has went through natural menopause, and she's so tough. She's just had a few hot flashes, and just rolled with it. She's one of those people that even if it was awful, she wouldn't probably let on too much like it was. I think that's true about a lot of things that women have to deal with. We just kind of push through that, and that's part of being a woman, and that's the way that it is. Well, let's see. About 6 months ago, I guess maybe in the early fall, I started noticing I was feeling weird. Um, and my cycles started getting irregular. Now, something about me, a little back history, is my cycles have always been regular as clockwork. I mean, like, we could say, oh, let's go on vacation 7 months from now, and I could literally get out a calendar and count, and I would know whether or not I'd be on my period that week. I could easily tell. This may be because at an early age, I started taking oral contraceptives, or the pill, as we call it. So I took the pill from about age 14 until I decided to stop taking them and get pregnant at 20. After I had my kid, um, I took them again when I was done breastfeeding. I started taking them again, but because of complications with my pregnancy, um, I had high blood pressure, and so I wasn't, available to take those pills anymore after my blood pressure kind of got up there a little bit. But anyway, so my whole like young life, I took birth control pills very regularly, just religiously. I took them every single day at the same time every day, and my periods were just regular as clockwork. So when they started not being regular, I noticed. I know a lot of women don't have really regular periods, or they're not on a 28-day cycle, or they can't really tell, and they're not really concerned if they're a day or two late or early, or they may not even notice. But I definitely do notice. So when I'm a few days late, or like once it was 3 weeks late, I'm like, oh, gee, what's going on? Because the only time I've been that late is when I've been pregnant or breastfeeding. So, um, I didn't necessarily think I was pregnant. That's not the first thing that crossed my mind. Um, but I didn't necessarily think about menopause either. I'm 45, and so I know that it's coming, but that's not the first thing I thought about. What I thought was, oh my goodness, I hope nothing's wrong. And then by the time I was like, well, maybe I should go and get checked out or something, then I would have my period and everything would be fine for, a couple cycles. And then one time I was on my period for like the entire month except for 3 days, the whole month. So that was exhausting and worrying. You know, if we weren't used to this, if we weren't used to having our periods and we were to have one for a month, we would think we were dying. We would be at the hospital in the ER being like, "Oh my God, I'm hemorrhaging to death. I'm basically bleeding to death right here in front of you and have been for a month now." It's amazing that it's just so nonchalantly accepted, that women cope with it with the grace that we do, and that it's just you know not thought of as a really big deal. So anyway, I'm coping with all of this stuff, like my period being crazy whack off schedule, which, like I said, is really odd for me. I've been just like regular as clockwork all my life. So I'm thinking, what is this? What's going on? And then I start having like mood swings. Of course, we all have mood swings, especially around that time of the month. We'll have mood swings and, you know, feel sad or angry or frustrated, but there's a cause, even if it's superficial and it's really like just your hormones or whatever. And I really hate that, because all emotions are just your hormone. It seems to invalidate the emotions you feel when you're hormonal, when you say things, terms like that. But I honestly believe that whether it's just like a hormonal fluctuation because of your monthly cycle, or because of perimenopause or menopause or puberty or whatever, the emotions you feel are just as strong and just as valid as ones that you feel um, from out external, like if you something happens to you that makes you sad, and you're sad and everybody accepts that and it's fine. But if you're having a hormonal imbalance and it makes you feel sad and you're like, I'm sad but I don't know why, then that invalidates it. Or you have some superficial reason that you think that's making you sad, but really you're just feeling that way. So this started to happen to me. I started feeling sad. So I don't really have any reason to feel sad, and I'm usually a pretty upbeat person. Um, so I'm happily married, and I have a grown son. I have a good relationship with him. I don't have to work, and I'm not really worried about finances. I don't have any major health problems, that anything can be done about it. And even though I guess you could say I have some traumatic past, whatever, abandonment issues and stuff like that. I come to terms with that stuff a long time ago. So I'm trying to understand, why am I sad? I'm feeling sad and I don't know why. And that is weird to me because even if I'm moody and I'm feeling sad, I usually have a reason, albeit sometimes a superficial one. And it's like, okay, if you stub your toe, right? Usually on a normal day that you're not feeling moody or you're having your hormones interfere with your genuine emotions, again, not to invalidate any emotions. You stub your toe and you cuss like a sailor and you're like, and I'm going to move that, or I'm going to wear shoes or whatever. You look at your toe and it's all right and you go on about your day. Damn, that hurt. But if you're feeling those kind of ways and you stub your toe, you might sit down and cry about the unfair cruelty of the world and the injustice of the whole universe because you stubbed your toe. I know that seems extreme, and I don't mean to belittle anybody's feelings because Lord knows I have them too. But the thing is, there's always been some, even if minor, external cause for me to feel some kind of way. And I started realizing that I felt sad for no reason. And that kind of messed with me a little bit. So I started I'm not one who's big on reflection or examining my past and stuff like that. Now, I know some people find this really rewarding and helpful for them, and that is great. But I've found that really, my issues and stuff that I have in the past, the major ones I have dealt with and want to move on. And so I don't do much of that. But I'm thinking, well, what's going on? Why am I feeling sad? So I'm thinking about my past and different things that have happened to me. And so I think, okay, so I'm 45 and I'm maybe starting to change. So that's like the halfway mark of my life, Maybe I'm worried about getting old or worried about my own mortality or something like that. But then I thought, that can't be it. I worked in a nursing home for years. I did post-mortem care when I was 17 years old. I dealt with facing my own mortality decades ago. It's not an issue for me, and I'm not messed up about it. And I wouldn't feel sad about it anyway. More curious than anything. So that's not it. So then I'm thinking, well, my son's grown up and he's moved away. He's not close to me, and I don't get to see him anymore. But you know what? I had empty nest syndrome. I did for like over a year. Oh, I was lost without him living here with me. But I kind of dealt with that and I'm okay with that. And I miss him. I miss him being around and stuff, but I wouldn't change things and it doesn't make me sad. So I don't think it's the empty nest thing. And I really don't feel that anymore. I remember it happening and how I felt, and I don't think that that's it. So I'm thinking about things and I'm trying to wonder, why am I feeling sad? I'm very happily married. Everything is fine in my life. I'm thinking maybe it's something in my past that bothers me that I haven't thought of in a long time, but I'm of the mind of just, why dredge that up? But if I'm having these random sad feelings, then something may need to be dealt with. Because, like I said, I dealt with all that old tired stuff years ago, and I don't think about that. I'm not studying that shit anymore. I'm done with it and moved on. So I don't think that any of the long ago past stuff is making me upset, but still there's this, I feel sad. It's a it's like a little disembodied rain cloud that just floats in and makes me feel truly sad. And I don't know why. So I started doing some research. I started watching some videos and reading about some stuff and articles and things that neurologists say. And I watched a lot of things. And I got a lot of good information that way. And then I saw this TED talk. I can't remember the doctor's name, but she was a neurologist. It was just like a 5 minute TED talk, something like what happens to a woman's brain during menopause, something along those lines. And it was just a little 5 minute TED talk. And she was very, very good. And I learned a lot in a very short 5 minutes. She had some slides of like a woman's brain when she was 43, and then 8 years later, after she had completed menopause, what her brain looked like then. And um, the difference was astounding. It looked like this brain had been turned down on a dimmer switch, and this brain was just dim, like all the lights were dimmer. And that was really disturbing to me because I was like, oh my God, do we get stupid? I mean, do really? Are we going to be dumb, more dumb? And I know forgetful and emotional and stuff, but really, are we really going to be dumb? And she anticipated this kind of response, I guess, and she was like, so we tested all these people and their cognitive ability remains the same. So the bottom line is, and she put this up like on the screen, we may be tired, but we're just as sharp. So that was a relief because I don't, I want to be clever. I don't want to be struggling to understand things that I enjoy knowing about. I like to learn and use my mind in that way. And that was a little disturbing. And then she talked about it some more, and she was like, talking about emotions and the hormones and how they affect you, and how that emotions, I saw several videos on this, actually are just hormones that are produced at your body. So if your body produces hormone A, you will do reaction B. So these little clouds of sadness are neither unusual nor are they, specifically because of something I'm feeling sad about. You can have a little disembodied feeling like that and it not really relate to anything when you're going through the change. And I was so relieved. And then another thing that she put up in her little talk was, you're not crazy, you're not going crazy. And I didn't realize I was kind of worried about that until I felt relieved when that neurologist told me I'm not going crazy. I was like, oh, oh, that's so nice to know. It's so nice to know that I'm not going crazy. And I think that people should not, of course, if you have no interest in menopause, you're not going through it or going to go through it or know anyone that's going to go through it, which is unlikely, then you have no business talking about it. But I think everybody else should feel free to talk about how they're feeling so that they don't feel alone and crazy when they're, starting menopause. Because I didn't even realize I was feeling kind of crazy and it was distressing me. And possibly that could be contributing to me feeling sad, kind of like a feedback loop there. I get this feeling of sadness that I can't really trace, and that makes me feel a little crazy, which makes me feel sad. You follow me here. Emotions are, if we could control them, they probably would call them something else and not feelings, because feelings just kind of happen to you. And so I've been having these weird disembodied feelings of sadness, and they've been making me reassess some things. And I'm just not worried about the same kind of things I was worried about before this all started happening to me. One of the things I'm not worried about is being on a diet. I just can't really care about that right now. I was really into it back before Thanksgiving. I was really motivated, and I was thinking, in this coming year I was going to do really good. And it's not so much that I lost my motivation, it's just that my focus has just shifted. And I'm not worrying about that right now. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't really, right now, and I have been for months, I'm right around 195, 196 pounds. And it seems like pretty much no matter what I do, I can get down to about 185 if I really try. And I'm talking about fasting and zero carbs and exercise like a couple miles on the treadmill every day, just wearing myself out and making myself miserable. I can get to 185, but I can't really go much lower than that without lifestyle changes that I'm unwilling or unable because of my physical limitations. I can't do much more exercise. I mean, I'm just not into it. I'm just not. I know that sounds like I'm not motivated, but I just don't care about it like I did before because I've tried so hard and I'm just like stalled at this place, and so I'm just not motivated to really do what it takes to really get back on the bandwagon of the old diet train. So I haven't been. I've been pretty much since the holidays, I've been eating whatever I want, and I'm still right at 195, 196 pounds every time I weigh, which was the same when I was dieting. I might lose a pound or two a month, and that's it. And so I'm not seeing the results. It's not worth it to me. So I'm just setting that to the side right now. And some other stuff. I'm just not worrying about that stuff. And I'm trying to think about, I want to be happy as me right now, the way that I am. It's not always easy to accept yourself and not be like, I was like this, or I will be like this. Today I'm this. So I'm trying to accept it and be cool with today. So that's what I'm up to. That's what I'm dealing with. So the information I got, I'm beginning intermediate menopause or perimenopause. I think we say menopause. I think in the UK y'all say the menopause. But I'm always hearing it called the change or the change of life. And for me, it is a change. It seems to be a change. Um, and another thing that I've noticed is because of Loveuary. I don't know if you can see it. I think Marina's in the way, but I made a little Loveuary sign for my Loveuary videos. I've been thinking about self-care because of that and things that I do, like just for me, things that, and I'm going to do a few videos that I planned on, like, uh, how, like all my different nail care stuff and all my colors and nail polish and stuff. All that's just for me. I do that just because I like it, and I think it's pretty. And um, makeup and hair and stuff like that, and buying stuff. And um, I bought 2 art books and a cookbook. And that's another thing. I want to do recipes. And me and my husband like to get in the kitchen together and cook new recipes together. And I don't want to constantly be worrying about calories and carbs and what I can eat. And I have a fairly decent diet anyway. I don't eat, over processed foods. We eat pretty good. I mean, but I do want to make comfort foods, and I do want to have desserts and breads sometimes. So I'm wanting to just release some of the things that I worry about, and food is one of them. So I'm kind of letting that go for now because when I do worry about it, I don't see no big result. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to let that go. And exercise, I'm also not going to push myself because I can feel myself being like, you haven't been for a walk or been on that treadmill in how long, girl? You are sorry and lazy. You need to get up. I have this inner monologue like that. If my bones are hurting, my hips and joints and stuff are hurting, I shouldn't go and take a long walk. Maybe a slow, short one on the treadmill just to kind of loosen up. But I shouldn't press myself to fast walk 3.5 miles that day just because it's treadmill day. I'm also letting that go. That doesn't mean I'm not going to exercise, but I'm not going to make myself do stuff when I don't want to do it. I will still do it. I'm pretty motivated about that kind of stuff, but I I have this thing where when I make a schedule, and I'm all about making lists and schedules and diagrams and programs, and I mean, I'm all about it. So I kind of get a lot like low key obsessed with my schedule. So I'm going to try and not do scheduling for things that don't have to be scheduled and just kind of just spontaneously live my life without all the regimented structure, because while it is reassuring to have structure and stability, I have that in my daily life anyway. I don't have to have it with all the little nitpicky details about diet, only eat this many, have the macros broke down, and only eat this, this, and this, and list it all, and then exercise on this day and go at least this far on this day, and then weigh today, and then exercise on this day.